Welcome back to Clark's Ring Rants. Another day, another boxing topic for us to discuss. Let's go. So Ben Whittaker, aka the Surgeon, dissects Richard Rivera in two one-sided rounds on the Zayas Jaron Ennis undercard. Richard Rivera, a man that had previously been the distance with two-weight world champion Badou Jack. Ben Whittaker makes absolute light work of him. He obliterates him inside 2 rounds. Now, I'll admit, going into this fight, I didn't really know who Richard Rivera was. All I had to go off was the Badou Jack fight. I knew he pushed him close in that fight. It was either a split or a majority decision a few years ago in Saudi Arabia. Admittedly, Badou Jack's about 97 years old. He's not the fighter that fought the likes of James DeGale or George Groves, but still, he's handy enough. He won a world title, so Richard Rivera, to go the distance with him was some feat, and maybe we were hoping he would be the man to give Ben Whittaker some rounds, because since that dodgy TD against Liam Cameron nearly 2 years ago, he's rematched Cameron, he's stopped him in 2, he beat Gavazi in 1 round, Brian Suarez in his last outing obliterated him, spotted him in a round, and here, Richard Rivera didn't fare much better. He got done in 2 rounds. So let's talk about the fight. Richard Rivera, he talked a good game. He talked the big end coming into the fight. And we're thinking, maybe he's got a decent-ish record. He's not really fought anyone great, but he can't be any worse than the last 2 guys he's fought. So, US debut, test the waters over there, see what you can do, Ben. And hopefully Richard Rivera isn't just coming to lie down. Now, I'll admit, Richard Rivera, he was game, but it was clear to see from the opening bell, he was a level or 2 below Ben Whittaker. The speed of Whittaker, he was jabbing, he was varying his shots, he was going head and body, he was changing the levels well, and he was just beating Rivera to the punch. You didn't really think Rivera stood much of a chance in this fight unless he could land some sort of home run punch. He's down as a puncher, I guess. He's got 20 KOs in 27 victories, but who were they against? Like I say, it was no match for Ben Whittaker. Ben Whittaker decked him twice in this fight. The first knockdown came in the first round. He jabbed to the body, I believe, of Rivera. Rivera tried Xing it to his right, but he ducked down and sort of leant into the punch, meaning it was a clubbing shot from Ben Whittaker that hit him. Some might argue it's behind the back of the head, but it wasn't. If it was behind the back of the head, it wasn't intentional. That was just the angle that Rivera was at. It was squared up. He came in low. He tried exiting and he got caught. He got tagged. It wasn't a massive shot, but it buzzed him. It dazed him and it put him down. Listen, he can argue that all he wants. It's the position he found himself in. He wasn't illegally hit behind the back of the head. Anyway, he makes it out of the first round and you can see he's not very happy with himself because Ben Whittaker's starting to showboat. He's thinking he's making easy work of this. Richard Rivera seems a bit of a macho man himself. He's thinking, no, not on my watch. You don't come to my backyard and disrespect me like that. No way, boy. So he comes out, he's fiery, he's aggressive in that second round. And that was his demise in the end. They go to trade left hooks. Rivera, he takes a step forward. It's almost a leaping left hook. He's leaning in with it. Ben Whittaker sees it coming a mile off. Head off to the side. Bang. His left hook gets there first. Obviously, he's a sharper, harder, crisper, faster puncher. Down goes Rivera. Now, this is where the controversy is. The stoppage, yes, it was academic. Richard Rivera was getting beat up. He was only going to get knocked out cold if the fight was able to go on. But he could have continued, I believe. He was up. He wasn't dazed. He wasn't wobbly. He beat the count, but the referee waved the fight off anyway. Now, I must reiterate, the fight was only ever going one way. Ben Whittaker was winning that fight which way he saw fit. But at least let him get a conclusive finish to the fight. And at least let Rivera go out on his shield. He was fine to continue. The same could be said for, what was the guy called who Emiliano Vargas fought on the undercard? Bryce Hall. Yeah, the referee stepped in while he was still throwing punches. So you've got 2 fights on the undercard where they were stopped far too prematurely. And then you could argue the Xander Zayas fight was left to go on for too long. But that's just the inconsistency we're getting in boxing these days. But anyway, I feel like Rivera could have carried on. He was pretty pissed off at the stoppage. He felt he could have continued. I certainly think he could. It's not like he was out cold or anything. But anyway, Ben Whittaker gets a stoppage. He scores 2 knockdowns. He stops a man that's never been stopped. And he's been in there with a 2-time world champion. So what next for Ben Whittaker? He needs a step up The alarming thing about Ben Whittaker, I said it in my pre-fight video for this fight, he's 29. They're calling him a prospect. He ain't no spring chicken. Ben Whittaker and David Benavidez are the same age. They're both 29. And yet, in nearly 4 years as a professional, Ben Whittaker's only had 13 fights. He's in need of a major step up because we've seen enough of these now. He's had 4 first-round blowouts. Well, second round in this case. But he's had 4 early blowouts in a row. Step him up. But who does he fight? He's going to command a big purse. Are we going to end up seeing something, you know, like Anthony Yard or Conor Benford or whatever? There's loads of good domestic fights there for him. Lyndon Arthur, Louis Edmondson, Zach Parker, Joshua Buatsi, Callum Smith, Anthony Yard, Joshua Buatsi, Willie Hutchinson, Ezra Taylor. I've just reeled off about 10 fighters he could fight there at light heavyweight. Craig Richards, Dan Aziz. Are any of those fights going to interest him? Or are we going to have to see a few more mismatches before he's thrown in there for a world title fight when he's not ready? Because my fear with Ben Whittaker is he's going to mess around for too long. I don't want him to have wasted his best prime years, and then when he gets his world title shot, he's underprepared, and B, he's past his peak. I don't want that with Ben Whittaker, so they need to match him carefully. They say they're going to take him back to Birmingham. He's going to headline a show there. That's got to be someone British level or European level. I don't want another obscure fighter. I want someone we know that can give him rounds, and there's a plethora of fighters there in England that can do so. They got Eddie Hearn in the ring after the fight, and he's talking about Ben Whittaker's going to be fighting for a world title in 2027. Against who? Because you can't go from the Brian Suarez's and the Richard Riveras of the world to a Bivol or a Benavidez. That's just a lamb to the slaughter. He ain't winning that fight in a million years. He needs to step up. Andy Lee, his coach, he's a bit more level-headed. He was asked if he thought Ben Whittaker's ready for a world title. He didn't say yes. He said maybe one more, maybe one step-up fight before that. Listen, it's going to take more than that for Ben Whittaker. Like I say, he's been pro 4 years, 13 fights. Look at the level Moses Atalm was fighting at, for example. I think this is his 15th fight against Filip Ergovic, and he's stepping up to fringe world level. So why is Ben Whittaker been moved along so slowly? It's going to be interesting to see who they match him with in this homecoming fight in October. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Ben Whittaker, he announces himself to the US audience. He knocks out Richard Rivera in 2 rounds. He looks good, but how good is Richard Rivera? He needs a step up next. Will he take on one of his British contemporaries? Who is it going to be next for Ben Whittaker? All I know is he needs to step up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.